lights, I'll start making lemonade.
Hi, Bill.
Hey, morning.
I had a question about Christian Barmore. A couple plays in particular, the incompletion that J.C. Jackson almost picked off and the ball that Kyle Duggar picked off. He was in the backfield on both of those. And especially on the Duggar one, it seemed like he took the center into the backfield and the guard might have been there with him. Just that kind of power, is that rare for a rookie? And when did you know he might have that kind of force right away?
Well, I think, Christian's a strong player. He's also got good length. And so the combination of those two things can, create some power and leverage against the offensive lineman. Cleveland's got a pretty big group. Their guards are pretty long too. They're 6'5". Got some of the longer guys in the league, but Barmore's a powerful player, and he's really been kind of doing that all year for us.
Thanks.
Yep.
Next question, Zach Cox, followed by Chris Ryan.
Morning, Bill.
Hey, Zach.
A couple of the players who spoke after yesterday's game were really complimentary of Nikhil for his work as a blocker yesterday. Just curious what you thought of Nikhil's performance in that area. It seemed like he was in the mix a lot on some of those running plays.
He was, and I thought he did a good job for us. Nikhil's got a good size and competitive blocker. Cleveland played a lot of loaded fronts there with, safety and Harrison down in the box, and so, for the receivers, somebody's got to block those guys, and so that responsibility gets, it's multiple players that have to do it, but Nikhil had a number of opportunities to block them, and I thought he blocked competitively.
Next question, Chris Ryan, followed by Mike Reese.
Morning, Bill. How are you?
Hey, Chris.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about peaking at the right time. One of the things that's always said about your teams is that you peak at the right time of the year, just before the playoffs, and seem to have things come together. Is that a conscious thing where there's like a process to that, or what is your view on being your best when the weather kind of gets colder?
Yeah, well, believe it or not, Chris, we try to play well all the time. So maybe it doesn't look that way, but we actually try to. So, this week it'll just be about getting ready for Atlanta and, another NFC team that we don't know very well. So we'll do our best we can to prepare and familiarize ourselves with the players as well as the schemes and be ready to go on Thursday night. So that's really, we're trying to peak on Thursday this week.
Obviously, you want to win each game, but is there, when you look at September or even October, is there still a process of evaluation going on so that you figure out what you want to, who you want to have where, what you want to do, come November, December, January?
Yeah, well, of course, more about your team in October than you do in September, and more in November than you do in October as things declare, as you get more experience with your team and your players and how they all fit together. And then along with that, sometimes you have some lineup changes, whether that could be a player coming back or a player who's not in the lineup who was in there earlier that you have to make adjustments or some kind of compensation for. So that's all part of weekly coaching, game planning in the NFL. That happens all the time, but you learn more about your team as you go further down the road, and I think each year has its own dynamics and its own. Each team develops in its own unique way, and sometimes there's carryover, sometimes there isn't, or there's similarities. Sometimes there aren't. I don't know if you know that until it's all over. Sometimes you just have to take it week by week and try to figure out what that specific year, this year's team, what we need to do, things that we're maybe fairly good at that we want to try to build on, things that we're not so good at that we either need to improve or maybe get rid of, and do something else. So it's, I think, really something that you kind of take week by week, and then, whenever you add it all up, you can add it all up and look back on it. But it's a lot more in the moment than it is us thinking about, well, this is where we want to be 5 weeks from now. I don't even know we play 5 weeks from now. I don't even know who's going to be playing 5 weeks from now. A lot could change between now and then, so it's kind of hard to look at it that way. But you do want to keep improving every day, every week, and certainly at a later point in the season, hopefully some of the work that we're doing now will pay off.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Next question, Mike Reese, followed by Phil Perry.
Good morning, Bill. I had a Ted Karras question. Second time around that you've had him. What is he doing better now that maybe from the last time that he was with you after his year away?
And well, Ted was pretty consistent for us, and still is. So I think that's one of the great things about Ted Karras is you get pretty much the same person, the same player, the same level of communication, aggressiveness, play every single day. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, whatever it is we're doing, you're going to get Ted's best, and you're going to get a consistent level of play. It's not always perfect, like it isn't with anyone, but it's pretty consistent, and he's pretty dependable, and he's going to give you his absolute best in every situation. So that's he's been like that for quite a while, probably since his first or second year, once he understood everything that we were doing and was familiar with all the calls and adjustments and all that. It's been pretty consistent since then.
Next question, Phil Perry, followed by Ben Bull.
Hey, Bill, I wanted to ask about the post-snap connection between Mac and Hunter. We've seen Hunter score lately on, a few different types of routes down in the red zone. And I just want to ask you, does he have the option to kind of run to open space in those situations? And if he does, how difficult is it to establish the connection for the quarterback and the pass catcher to just be on the same page when there is, maybe a few different options available to him, if that's the case?
Right. Well, we have option routes in our offense, probably like most teams do. Anytime you have an option route, you've got to have space for the option runner to go. So that takes into account the other parts of the pattern. You don't want to give a receiver an option and then have him beat his guy but run right into somebody else. That's not really good for anybody, the quarterback or the receiver. So if he has an option route, he would usually he would have it with the space so that whichever way he wins on the option, that it's clear. And then routes where he doesn't have options, he or any other receiver would need to go to the general area of their route. The technique may vary based on the leverage or the coverage that the defense is playing, but they have to go in their route because there's somebody else that's occupying a space that, or is going into a space that they need to clear out. So if you have a player on the right side going out, you have a player on the left side going in, you can't give the guy on the right side an option to go in, or they'll just run right into each other. So there's a place for both. And generally speaking, if a team plays inside leverage on a certain coverage, then you have an out-breaking route on one side that should win and an inside breaking route on the other side that they should out-leverage. And if the team's playing outside leverage, then vice versa. They should win the outside leverage. Although the receiver's still going to run a technique to beat it, but on paper, the defense should win outside leverage if you're running outside, and we should win inside leverage if they're playing outside. Now, sometimes there's other players that help, like drop into the middle and create an extra presence in there to help the outside leverage players, and then that goes to, some other concept that you would need to be able to defeat that, whether it's a double inside or something that gets across the helper, or something like that.
Thanks, Bill.
Hey, you're
Next
welcome.
question,
Okay.
Ben Volen, followed by Dakota Randall.
Good morning, Bill.
Ben?
This offseason, you guys obviously added a lot of new pieces, free agency, the draft, rookie quarterback, and history in the league has shown that can be difficult to do, to build a team that way. And here we are, it's mid-November, and you guys seem to have come together pretty well on both sides of the ball. Just what has the process been like of building this team together, and has it been any more of a challenge because of all the new pieces kind of all coming in at once?
Well, every year is a challenge. Every week's a challenge. So I think that's always going to be there. The formation of this team is a little different than some other teams we've had recently. But in the end, it's football, and you ultimately want to try to get your team, coaches, players, offense, defense, special teams, to perform in a certain way, and as your team develops, again, as we said earlier, some things you do better than others, and you always want to try to, I would say, focus on those, but not to the point of being easily predictable, so that the other side of the ball can take advantage of it. So you have to create some type of balance somehow. You just can't keep doing the same thing over and over in this league. I don't think for very long. So whether it's whoever the players are, wherever they came from, whether they were here or not here, whatever it is, each year has its own, I'd say, development, both as units and individually, and how that comes together and how it happens is unique. But we just take it as it comes and try to make the best out of it that we can, and try to help the players continue to improve and help our units improve.
Does it feel gratifying that most of the offseason free agents seem to be working out? You're getting good contributions from your rookie class so far. Does that seem gratifying for you?
Yeah, again, we'll see. I think, it's probably a later conversation. Right now, what would be gratifying would be for us to play well and beat Atlanta, and that's really what we need to do. So whatever the rest of it is or isn't, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it is against Atlanta. I don't know.
All right, thanks.
You're
Two
welcome.
final questions, Dakota Randall and Dan Roach.
Hey, Bill, I heard you talk about Kyle Pitts this morning. Cordarrelle Patterson's also having a big season for the Falcons, catching the ball, running the ball, and returning as always. What have you seen from him, from what you've been able to watch of the Falcons? And I guess considering how you guys used him when he was here, did you always feel he was capable of this kind of dual threat production?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, CP is capable of really, with a ball in his hands, pretty much anything on the field. He's a tremendous player. We certainly saw that when we were here. He's dynamic. He can break the game open on kick returns, catching the ball, and running the ball, or a combination of both. And he's done that. He did that for us. He's done that for every team he's been with in the league. And he's tough. He's a very competitive player, and he's got a very good and explosive skill set. So he's a problem. When you talk about Atlanta, it's Patterson and Pitts in whatever order you want to put them in. They both touch the ball a lot. Really, Patterson touches it more than Pitts does, but they're both really good. and when they get it, they're a big problem. But CP's having a tremendous year, and I'd say no play he makes really surprises me. I've seen him make those before. He runs by guys on go routes. He takes short runs or passes and explosively breaks tackles or bursts through a hole and chews up 25, 30 or more yards in a hurry. He's got excellent hands, big hands. He's a big guy. He's hard to overthrow or hard for the quarterback to miss him, and Ryan doesn't miss many anyway. So he's an excellent target with good hands and a strong, powerful man that's very hard to tackle. He's a really good football player, and he and Pitts have given the Falcons a lot of offensive production, and they've also created, I'd say, a lot of opportunities for other players with their, because you're just so focused on them. And you put Davis in there too as the third guy. Like, all those guys are guys that see the ball a lot, and they're all a big problem when they get it.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Final question, Dan Roach.
Morning, Bill.
Hi, Dan.
Just a general question about what you've learned and how it's evolved over the years about playing Thursday night football and what you give your team mentally and physically and how you break it down.
Well, it's really about, from a coaching staff and then to the players, learning about your opponent. You have less time to make decisions. You need to make, from a coaching standpoint, you need to make good decisions. You need to make them quickly. If you give the team a poor game plan or poor direction, then it's really hard for them to overcome that. So but there's pressure on both coaching staffs to do that, and again, Atlanta's a hard team to get ready for. They do a number of different things, both offensively and defensively, and so you have to make the decision as to whether you're going to put your chips on. They do a lot, but this is what we think they're going to do, or cover everything and be light on something they end up doing a lot of, and so. And again, from the player standpoint, today's Thursday for us, really, for a Sunday game, and we haven't even given them the scouting report yet. So it's a lot of information for the players to absorb, both the individual players, the schemes, and then situational football. Again, another thing that Coach Smith and the Falcons are very good at. So familiarizing ourselves with situational plays that are really different from, let's call it, normal plays. That's something we'll have to really study hard too. So it's but both teams have the same schedule, so it is what it is. But it's just cramming a lot of information in a short amount of time and making good decisions that you don't want to clutter things up, but at the same time you don't want to be unprepared. And that's the fine line of it.
Thank you. Like the jacket.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID.